Hi everybody, hello, I am Dr. Stacy Shillington and I am here today to answer your questions about detoxification. So I don't know if any of you are doing the 7-day clear skin detox with me on Instagram, but if you are, I did a post yesterday and invited you to ask me any questions that you may have about detoxification. And the reason is detoxifying when you have acne is, you have to do it in the right way because a lot of detoxes are actually not made for acneic skin at all. Acne patients were very sensitive. We have to be very careful about the different herbs that we take. We especially have to be careful about monitoring our blood sugar and our insulin levels and our sugar intakes. And that is why often juice detoxes, detoxes such as a master cleanse, are going to absolutely aggravate our acne and not do anything at all. Hello everybody, thanks for coming on here. I'm so excited to answer your questions today. If you have any questions about detoxing for acne, put them in the feed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by answering a few questions that were submitted on the discussion thread. So one of the first questions that I have is when you are detoxing and you want to avoid sugar, what fruit should you eat and what fruit should you avoid? So typically I give a big red X to any tropical fruits. They're super high in sugar. I'm talking about mangoes, bananas, pineapples, fruits that have a lot of sugar. And generally my very favorite fruits to eat are berries. Berries are fantastic, especially blueberries, because they really help to regulate blood sugar levels. In fact, blueberries are pretty much a medicine all on their own. There's been some fantastic research out about them. But also raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, unsweetened cranberries. I don't know, that might be a little tart, but so berries are great. Also some apples, pears, apricots. Those fruits are fine as well, although don't eat tons of fruit, right? Because we're trying to keep the sugar under control. Sugar is food for pathogenic organisms that live in your gut that can contribute to dysbiosis. And very often dysbiosis is at the heart of an acne problem. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that has answered the question. And I'm going to move on to the next question, which is, there was a question about Tulsi tea, because I do recommend Tulsi tea a lot. It's a fantastic adaptogen. It helps nourish the adrenal glands, but it does not overstimulate the adrenal glands, and it does not, it's just not too stimulating. It also blocks androgens. So if you have acne, Tulsi tea is amazing, but there has been a study that came out recently, and it suggests that Tulsi tea may have some sperm blocking abilities. So if you are trying actively to conceive, Tulsi tea may not be the best choice given that situation. So that's one study, fairly recent, but obviously somebody read something about it. So I looked it up and I found out the same thing. I didn't know that before, but that's kind of the connection between Tulsi tea and fertility. So you guys, everybody that's with me on the call, please put in any detox questions that you may have. But I'm going to keep going here. And the question is, when you're doing a liver detox, where do you start? And actually, this question was asked a couple of times in different ways. Somebody else was wondering, what organ do we start to detox with first? The liver, the kidney, the colon. So when you're starting to detox, you want to be very gentle, because if you start taking a lot of herbs and a lot of supplements that mobilize the toxins from the tissues of the body, you can get very sick. Because what has to be happening is the organs of detoxification and elimination have to be working properly so that those toxins can be flushed from the body. If they're not working properly, then you are going to experience major detox symptoms. I'm talking about nausea, vomiting, headache, fatigue. It's really not very pleasant. So I suggest that you start with drinking a lot of water, like about 2 liters per day, adding a little bit of lemon in there because lemon is going to gently stimulate bile production from the gallbladder, and the bile will help mobilize toxins through the bowels, and it will also help the liver remove some toxins. Make sure that you're having bowel movements daily. That's a huge one because if you're not, the toxins are not really able to remove themselves from the body efficiently. So make sure that you're having regular bowel movements daily. Start drinking a lot of water and also really increase your fruit and vegetable intake. And, that's going to give you the fiber. And fiber is actually like a detoxifying mechanism on its own. It's not digestible. So it remains in your digestive tract. It moves through your digestive tract, picking up, toxins on its way and eliminating it through the body. So if you have never detoxed before, start slowly and start by drinking water, eating vegetables, and making sure you're going to the bathroom every single day. And once all that has been working fine for a few days, then you can start adding in some herbs to really help the body detoxify even more. I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit because I see there are some questions. Danielle says, is there a specific time of day to avoid consuming fruits with them being high in natural sugar? I wouldn't necessarily say there's a specific time of day, but there's a specific way. And the specific way is to don't eat fruits on their own, especially if you have active acne, especially if you have insulin dysregulation or blood sugar dysregulation, because the fruits are just going to spike your blood sugar, spike your insulin, and that can actually lead to more acne. So if you are going to eat fruits, eat them with something that grounds the glycemic index and the action of the blood sugar and the insulin, like a handful of nuts or something like that. So that is my advice with eating fruit. So hopefully that helps. And another question, my mother started to detox and she experienced a rush. Why? That's exactly what I was explaining earlier. So she's starting to mobilize the toxins in her body, but her body is not yet able to remove the toxins from the body at the same rate that she's mobilizing them from the tissues, if that makes sense. So you start to experience physical symptoms such as feeling sick and nauseous and bleh. It's really not very fun at all. So when detoxing, you have to follow those specific steps. All right, and I'm just going to scroll here. Okay. I've actually been detoxing for 2 weeks now. I got a breakout that seemed to be worse than usual. When can I expect to see fewer breakouts during the detox process? So when you're detoxing, again, you're mobilizing toxins throughout the body, and often acne patients, our livers do not work as optimally as other people. So we have difficulty getting those toxins out of our body. Our liver does definitely need some extra support to do that. So that could be one reason. Your estrogen levels could be a little bit higher, and that can always stimulate a little bit of acne. Or you're also starving pathogenic microbes in the gut. And when that happens, the pathogenic microbes release endotoxins into our system, and that creates extra inflammation. And for acne patients, often our inflammation manifests as acne. So that is what is probably happening. And, often, when you're healing your gut and when you're killing off the pathogenic microbes, you just have to go through a healing crisis. There actually isn't a way around it. I've been trying to find a way to avoid the healing crisis for years, and you can't do it. And many of the great naturopathic doctors that have lived before me, I mean, they talk so much about the healing crisis. Hahnemann, I think he wrote a whole book on it. And it's just something that the body has to endure to get to the other side, which is radiant health and radiant skin. So continuing on, let's see another question that I have. How do I avoid blackheads? Okay, so blackheads is a sign that there is increased sebum production, which is oil production, and also increased hyperkeratinization, which means skin cells are shedding at an abnormal rate and they're getting trapped in the pores along with the sebum. It creates this mixture, and then oxygen creates the dark color. It oxidizes the oil. So that's what a blackhead is. And in order to reduce sebum production, it's all about reducing androgens in the body. And that gets back to regulating your insulin levels, supporting your liver, reducing inflammation in the gut. It's all the clear skin steps that I outline in my program. So once you go through those steps, blackheads should start to decrease. But there's also a great topical way to get rid of them too. If you want to take some Manuka honey or raw honey, slather it on your face, especially areas where you get blackheads. I don't know, for me that's always my nose and sometimes down in this area too. And start patting the honey like this. In fact, I did a video on this. So if you go to my website, naturopathicbeauty.com, and look up my Manuka honey mask, and I show you exactly how to do it. You just start patting the honey. It actually changes consistency and it starts to pull debris from the skin. It works so well with blackheads. So check that out, and hopefully that will help you if you tend to suffer from blackheads. All right, I'm looking over, seeing what other questions are here. Oh yeah, so one woman asked why, and she has two questions and they are related. She said, why is my skin constantly dull? Even though I drink a lot of water, I eat great, I get lots of great sleep, and in addition to that, her lips are constantly dry and have a grayish tinge. And she's like, what's going on? So the first thing you want to check is the quality of your blood. Take a look at your ferritin levels and make sure those are elevated enough, because when you have a gray tinge to your skin, it's a sign that you're not getting adequate circulation. There's not adequate blood flow, or the blood isn't delivering enough nutrients and oxygen to the area. So definitely get a CBC, which is a complete blood count. Check out your ferritin levels. See if they're adequate. Also lymph. Get the lymph moving as well. And you can do this with exercise. And again, I did a whole video on this, so check my blog. And, I explained so many great steps to get the lymph moving, especially in the face. And then also really, really dry lips, she was explaining that she has. And when you have dry lips that are cracked and they just won't clear up no matter what you slather on them or what you're eating, well, if they're cracked on the edges, that usually means a B vitamin deficiency. But I'm assuming that she means like they're cracked, they're dry all over. And this is usually a sign that you have dysbiosis, that the microbes in your gut are not balanced. There's often more pathogenic than beneficial microbes in your gut, and that needs to be considered. So that's an Ayurvedic, that's something that comes from Ayurveda. They use all parts of the face to diagnose exactly what's going on in the body, which is so amazing. So, and also, I don't know, some of you might ever experience you get kind of like a white film on your lips. That's dysbiosis as well. So kind of like a candida infection going on. So there's so much that we can tell just by looking at our face. All right, so let's see what other questions I have here. I think should I change my skincare routine with the seasons? So, it's not necessarily with the seasons that you change your skincare, but it's with the way your skin is behaving that you change your skincare. So if you notice that your skin is getting really dry in the winter, then yes, you may need to increase the moisture or increase something that you're doing. But you don't necessarily change your skincare just because it's December 21st and winter is now here. Instead, really look for signs of what your face needs. Be sure to really nourish yourself internally. Get lots of good fats, lots of fruits and vegetables. Really hydrate adequately, because, if we're really feeding from within well, taking care of our moisture barrier, our skin should be really in good shape. Often there are external variables such as dry air, wind, sun, that will, you will require a little bit more protection. But yeah, just go with how your skin is feeling and, alter your skincare based on that versus, a calendar. Hopefully that helps. And I also got a few questions about sun care and what should I do with sunscreen, what should I wear? And I am doing a whole series on that starting next week. I have some really interesting things to tell you about sunscreen and sun care and what we should be doing. It's kind of a little, not mainstream information, but really important. So, tune in next week for my live video, because I really think it's important for everybody to be aware of what we need from the sun, because we need the sun. To completely block it from our bodies 100% of the year is not necessarily healthy. So more on that coming up. And also a question on shampoo, which shampoo is the healthiest. And, I'm a girl that has struggled with my hair for many, many years. I'm looking at it in my Instagram reflection right now, trying to make it look good. I have lost a lot of hair. I had PCOS. My hair came out in handfuls at certain points in my life. It's now at a point where it's stable. It's grown back enough. And changing my hair care routine was a huge part of, just really helping my hair become healthy. I don't use any chemicals on my hair at all. I take jojoba oil and I slather my hair in jojoba oil before I wash it. And then I just wash it with a really gentle shampoo. I use 100% Pure. That's a brand that I think is pretty widely available on the internet anyways. You can order it. But they have some really good shampoos. Believe me, I've looked at a lot of shampoos, because when you start to lose your hair, you panic and you just research everything. A question is, will your video be on the same time and day next week? You know what? I was doing all my videos on Thursdays for the longest time, and then my schedule got disrupted and I changed it to Wednesdays and then to Tuesday even. But I will try to do it on Thursday next week, usually around 11 o'clock a.m. And our tanning salon's okay for the skin. I'm so white. So yeah, we're going to talk all about that next week. But there's nothing like the real sun, which, is kind of hilarious that I'm saying this, because it's April 5th today, and I woke up, it was -10. It was snowing. I don't want to go outside because it's so cold out, but I would love nothing more than to have a little bit of sun in my life. So I know how you feel about the tanning salon, but don't do it. Wait for the sun. All right, guys. So I think that wraps it up for our Q&A today. And if you have any more detox questions at all, post them on my site, my Facebook. Post them on my Facebook page or my Instagram page. And yeah, if you are suffering from acne and you want somebody to help you clear your skin, I'm your woman. I've been healing acne as a naturopath for over 12 years, and I have an amazing 7-week program that I would love for you to be a part of. So check that out. You can check out my website, naturopathicbeauty.com. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I have one last question that is coming up, and it's, can detox cause yeast infections? And I love talking about this stuff because when you're detoxing, you're not giving sugar to the pathogenic microbes in your gut. When you're not giving sugar to them, they release endotoxins into your body. That creates inflammation, and that can absolutely trigger a yeast infection. It's called a healing crisis, and it's actually a really positive sign. You have to keep going. You have to go through it. You can't go around it. That's a really tough pill to swallow, but sometimes you have to go through a little discomfort to actually, come out the other end. So, and do I work with rosacea? Yes, absolutely. Acne, rosacea, and acne, I actually treat pretty much the same way. There's just a few little tweaks, but yes. And is hormonal acne curable? Yes, that is what I do. That's what I've been doing for 12 years, because I used to have really bad acne, like super bad, full here. And I didn't know what to do. This was quite a few years ago, and it actually prompted me to go back to school to learn how to cure acne. And that is what I do, and that is what I love. So, check out my program, check out what I do. I'd be really happy to help anybody on their clear skin journey, because that is what actually brings me joy. So I know I'm so weird, but that's just the truth. Okay, so I don't see any more questions coming up. If anybody has one final question, you can put it in the chat. But if not, have a really, really great day. Have fun, rest of the week detoxing. And if you live in a place where there's sun, please go out and grab a few rays for me. Okay, guys, have a really, really great day. Thanks. Bye.